We're here with Laura Gibbs, who is an instructor at the University of Oklahoma, who's been teaching two courses fully online since 2002. One of the most interesting things is that Laura teaches epics of ancient India and mythology and folklore, and has a particular interest in Aesop and Latin. Usually we hear about online courses about programming and mathematics and physics and the hard sciences. I'm really interested, Laura, in your experiences teaching the humanities online, what the advantages and disadvantages might be.
Well, the reason I got started teaching online was because I was really interested in writing and the students being storytellers and sharing their stories. So, to me, it makes sense that we're teaching humanities online because writing is the medium that we use here, writing and images. And when I was in a classroom, it was hard to connect with my students as writers. It was hard to share all the images that I wanted to share. So even back in 2002, you could put text online, you could put images online, and that's what I want my students to do.
That's interesting. Usually people talk about the disadvantages of online.
Right, whereas for me it was about the disadvantages of the classroom. I was frustrated as a teacher in the classroom, but going online gave me all this freedom, gave my students all kinds of freedom. So I'm kind of baffled sometimes when I hear people talk about online learning being impersonal or online classes not being personal. For me, it's just been the opposite.
Laura, I'm going to let you do most of the talking because we're getting a little bit of an echo here from your end. So just tell us a little bit about how you go about teaching epics of ancient India and mythology and folklore online. How do you present this to your students? And I assume that some of your students may not have had any real exposure to online learning.
Right, they have not necessarily had an online course. They're mostly residential students at the University of Oklahoma in Norman. And a lot of them have not had any exposure to the content either because these are gen ed courses. And so I get engineering majors, accounting majors, opera majors, you name it, from all over the university. So we just get started blogging. Really, blogging is the answer to everything for me in the classes. So in the first week, students create their blogs, they read some Aesop's fables or nursery rhymes, something fun, something familiar, and then they make their own versions of those fables or of those nursery rhymes, telling the stories in their own way. So that's the one magic thing that happens, right, is they tell something in their own way, they publish it online, and it's all easy, right? And that's just in the first couple of days of class. And then they start reading each other's stories, sharing the blogs, and they realize everybody else is telling the stories in their own ways, really creative ways, really exciting ways. And that's all just in the first week. So once we have that happen in the first week, you got a blog, there's all kinds of things to read online, you write a story, you share your story, that's the first week. And so we just move on from there, building on that experience. So everybody feels confident and ready to go just from the first week. So it's new. And the first week is a surprise, full of good surprises, I hope. But after that, it's not new. They're ready to go.
Are the blogs public?
Yeah, the blogs are public, and that's something that's happened within the past couple of years. For a long time, I used a Ning, and I like Ning a lot. Ning was a fabulous service for educators, and I used that for maybe 6 years, 7 years. But what happened was that the mini Nings went away. Technology comes, technology goes. And I was sad that the mini Ning was going away, but it meant that I just switched everybody over to open blogs on Blogger, and that was just this year. And that was fantastic because now it's so much easier for the students to share not just their class projects, because they also do a project in addition to their blog, but to share the blogs from semester to semester. So now at the beginning of the spring semester, it was so great. I could tell the students, look at the blogs from last semester. They're so cool. They all look so different. They're full of stuff. You're going to have a blog like this at the end of your semester. So having the open blogs was a big switch this year, but it was a really good one. It's one of the best things that's happened in my classes in a while.
How do you use multimedia, not just writing your stories?
Well, lots of still images, and that's really what I work with is images, helping students to find images that are license-free for them to use online, and integrating text and images, just thinking about that in a very basic way. How do you choose an illustration for a story? How do the words and the images work together? So we don't do a lot of video or audio because, to be honest, just working with text and images keeps everybody busy, and there's a lot to do. So that's what the focus is. I help the students a lot with their writing. They revise and revise a lot. And the images are a big part of that, that the images support their writing all along.
Do you lecture?
I have never lectured, and I think that's why the classroom was such a strange space for me. Even this interview is kind of strange. I'm not the kind of person who is used to just talking. I like to be in dialogue with people, lots of people at once. And you can do that online. So no, I don't lecture at all. I spend a lot of time building the space. Here are tons of cool places to find images. Here are all the things you can read. Here are great things from the class in the past. So I'm an organizer, or like what do you call the person who runs the circus? The 3-ring circus, but more than 3 rings. But no, I don't lecture at all.
I think it's ringmaster.
Ringmaster, so I would be the ring mistress.
So one of the things that intrigued me about reading about what you're doing is the idea of students doing storybooks. It sounds a little bit to me like an e-portfolio, but more of a narrative storytelling. How does that work?
Well, and you're exactly right about that distinction. That's another change I recently made in the class. It used to be everybody did a storybook, and now they have a choice between doing a storybook or a portfolio, because it really is a very similar idea. But with the storybook, the idea is that they choose a topic that somehow unifies a set of stories. So that could be a particular country or a tradition. You could do stories from Norway, stories from Japan, or it could be a kind of theme that you want to follow, like tricksters or dreams or stories of revenge. And some of the students invent pretty elaborate frame tales to wrap around those 4 stories, which can be great. And so that's the storybook option. It can be a simple frame tale, an elaborate one, but the idea is that the 4 stories are all connected. Some of the students, they brainstorm about that, and we work on that for a few weeks. And if they're not happy where their storybook is going, then they switch over to a portfolio. And what they do with that portfolio option is to choose from their weekly writings what they think are the best stories that they've done for the class, and revise those and polish them the same way that the students doing the storybook revise and polish all semester long. So now there's storybooks in the class and their portfolios too, and they're both great. They're different. The storybooks have a kind of unitary identity, whereas the portfolios are more like a smorgasbord of good stories that the students have worked on.
Any advice to teachers who are going to start teaching online, and particularly humanities teachers, about how to approach it?
Well, I would say the thing to do is to make sure you're having fun online first. So I love to spend my time collecting all these images and finding these books online. I mean, for me, it's this kind of like library paradise now, the materials that are available. And so if you find that you're excited collecting these things and sharing these things and connecting with other people who are interested in these same things, whatever they are, then that's probably a good sign that you'll be able to have fun with the students too. My general approach is, if I'm having fun, it's at least possible that the students will have fun too. But if I'm not having fun, the odds of them having fun is about 0. So get started just by exploring your field. And truly, if you haven't looked at things like HathiTrust or Google Books, Internet Archive, LibriVox for audiobooks online, the resources that are available in the humanities are just breathtaking. And the art sources, oh my gosh, the museums that are online, it's fantastic. So if you haven't looked, go look. You'll be amazed. That's my advice.
I'm so glad you mentioned fun.
Oh, gotta mention fun.
A word that is used too seldom when discussing pedagogy.
Well, I would say that boredom is the biggest problem that we face as teachers, and the fact that we don't talk about boredom and we don't ask our students what they would think is fun. If we don't find out that they're bored and what we can do to fix that problem, I don't think we're going to get very far. So I'm not embarrassed about saying that I want to have fun and I want the students to have fun too. And we do. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And I think you're going to share some of the links. Look at the storybooks that the students are doing. They really are fun every semester. It's like magic.
All right, online course ladies, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.